I have Tabela Chibane, who is our Senior Executive of Public Affairs and Transformation, and I have Alex Kamalo, who is our Head of Social Performance. These two gentlemen will be talking you through our junior mining section. Over to Tabela.
Thanks, Alan. Pity our colleague Grant Mitchell couldn't join us, who's heading up the junior and emerging miners. He's a bit ill, hopefully he's not COVID, but we are here to take you just essentially through a few points and then be open for a lot of questions that you would like to ask. So yeah, and the really difficult ones that we cannot answer, we'll throw to my colleagues in the audience there. So here we are. I mean, I think everybody, including ourselves, are really hoping for this rebirth of exploration in South Africa. Government is certainly trying to put things in place so that we can actually make it happen. But we do know that for some time now, I think for the last decade, we have been attracting less than 1% of the global exploration. I believe in the bushveld, so some people are doing some work in that regard. South Africa is not overexplored. I think that's one thing that one has to say, that yes, when it comes to those, the mineralization that's been, the outcrops, a lot of those have been mined, and we've got some fantastic mines from there. But, so South Africa still has a lot of good mineralogy, I think that's the term essentially, and it's still some of the best in the world. I mean, we need to be applying modern technology essentially to try to investigate some of the underground ore bodies that we have, as they did in Western Australia. We need to be doing. So, as we said, government is trying to put some of the building blocks in place. We do know, and everybody recognizes, that a mining cadastral system is really the foundation of that. It will provide, it's a management tool that's going to provide transparency and access to South Africa's resources and resolve some of the challenges that we've had in this past. So it's a critical part of the puzzle, probably the most critical, to ensure this rebirth of exploration in South Africa. So that's one of the things that we keep pushing our regulator to try to expedite. My colleague Alex will talk a little bit more about some of the other elements of the puzzle that are quite key. Just a little bit on the Minerals Council and our juniors. We have 78 members that make up, as you know, about 90% of SA's production by value. And 39 of those, half of those, are actually junior and emerging miners. So quite soon, actually, even in the Minerals Council, we'll have the juniors outnumbering the mid-tier, the major players. Yeah, a lot of them aren't really so much your specialist explorers and developers. But as you know, that South Africa doesn't really have a wealth of those in terms of numbers like Canada and Australia. It's something that we really need to get working on in attracting them. So if you look at the other side, the other elements that we have, I think South Africa does have a sound system. If you look at some of the elements when it comes to security of tenure, I still think that from a mineral perspective, we've got very strong security of tenure. We've got a sound and independent judiciary. That's a very strong counterbalance, even I think, to the executive and the executive and Parliament. So, claims, legal related claims that people have in the South African context are, I think, are well dealt with by our system. We've got a strong financial system, probably world-class financial system, so that's also quite critical. I think one of the things that we want our regulator to be applying certainly a lot more diligence to is resolving some of the backlog in terms of permits. I have been advised that they are essentially clearing about 1,000 of these backlog applications. But not too sure exactly where they are at this stage in terms of the numbers that they've cleared. But it's certainly one of those areas that we carry on to push the DMRE to resolve. Yeah, if I can hand over then to Alex to mention a few points, and then we'll be open for questions.
No, thanks, thanks, Lebelo. The one area that maybe I want to talk to is around some of the challenges that maybe the minister mentioned. The junior space still faces the financing challenge. And over the past couple of years, we've been looking at the Canadian model and the Australian model, flow through shares, but we've had some roadblocks when it comes to Treasury's appetite to incorporating something like that into our tax regime. But I think that's one of the areas where we need to push, find those sources of finance. The IDC we have tried, but their mining unit is just way too small for the kind of resources that you require, and their investment model as well doesn't necessarily permit funding exploration over years before seeing returns. But inside the Miners Council, we continue to support juniors, and even through COVID, because of our early return to production, a lot of them survived, and they seem to be showing signs of growth. And we will soon be picking up again with the DMRE, who also have a junior section that they look after. We think that there's room for us to work together with them to advance the same cause. And I think the last piece of the puzzle, obviously, internally, the Junior Emerging Miners Leadership Forum continues to support our membership, 40 odd or so of them. And we hope that going forward, we'll begin to do some of the things that we haven't done in the past, make financial provisions within our budgets to see how better we can support the junior sector. It's obviously it won't be in terms of exploration, but some of the basic things that the sector might need. So one of the things that we're doing, for instance, working with the JSE through their entrepreneurship program, where we can send through some of our juniors to actually go acquire some of the other skills of the trade, which is actually running a business, because that's what mining is. Well, I think that's really all that I needed to add on top of what you said, and we can open up.
I think it would be remiss not to talk about the exploration implementation plan that was published. So we certainly were consulted and contributed quite substantially, to the content of the implementation plan. It was published now recently, as you know. So we are busy consulting with our juniors to try to essentially come up with an official position on that one in terms of how they see this implementation plan. The strategy document, though, is very new to us. That one was published, but that one we weren't consulted on, if I'm not mistaken. So that's another thing that we are essentially sharing with our members to have a look at. So